Oh yes, folks, the excitement amplifier is turned all the way up to 11 here at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Towers, because when I returned home from work just moments ago, literally moments ago, there was a box waiting for me on the doorstep, and we had this lovely offering from G.I. Joe Classified Series waiting for me. It is, of course, as you can see, Snow Job. How very exciting. I am over the moon to have this guy in hand and to be able to share the unboxing experience with you today. Now, Jeff, stop right there. Get your hands away from the keys on your keyboard, because I'm going to preempt the very first question that's going to hit the comments. How did you get this so soon? Now, in the UK, I use a couple of independent retailers by the name of Toys and Kapow Toys. These guys have to source their G.I. Joe Classified stock from the Far East, because Hasbro have made G.I. Joe Classified series in terms of direct retail and exclusive for the Hasbro Pulse website. So Kapow Toys and In-Demand Toys, they ship their stuff over from Hong Kong. In fact, if we have a quick early peek at the back, you can see the import sticker just there. So thank you to Kapow Toys in this particular instance. This has come all the way over the ocean into the hands of Kapow Toys and then into my hands. So there you go. I've answered it right up top before you start typing in the comments. But we've been very blessed, unfortunately, here in the United Kingdom, that kind of import cycle has meant that we are getting our hands on figures super fast, you know, keeping the G.I. Joe Classified series momentum up. In fact, this might as well just be a G.I. Joe Classified series channel at this very moment in time. So we've been very blessed, and, you know, I feel just excited. I'm giddy. I'm proper like Christmas morning giddy right now. I don't know why. Something about snow jobs, just maybe it's because of the snow imagery. It's just making me feel like really Christmas morning giddy. But anyway, here's the packaging. We've got this newish design. It's not so new anymore, but with the black border, the digital render on the front, showing off the accessories and added value goodies, artwork of the character, nice shot of Snow Job there. I'm liking the painted character pieces that they're doing in this little right-hand column on the front of the boxes at the minute, and will be on the cardboard frame that he's inside the box, I assume. I say newish because we've had this design for a little while. Then on the back, number 67 in the line, digital render of the figure, digital render of all the goodies. He's about 6.5 inches tall, legal bollocks and malarkey at the bottom. Zoomed in on a couple of pieces. I think I'm interpreting that to be showing off the fact that you know, the hood comes up and down and there's a swappable head and that. I think that's what that's trying to illustrate there. And then he's got a pistol holster on his thigh. I don't consider that particularly a special feature on G.I. Joe Classified series, but there we go. Into the data card, which they're now putting in these smaller, less significant feature on the packaging across the bottom here. Looks like Snow Job is a practitioner of the Arctic starfish. We've then got what appears to be an image of his gun, obviously highlighting the fact that, you know, Snow Job likes to handle rifles or get his rifle handled. Then we've got the dumbbells here, which is obviously just, you know, showing off the guns. Snow Job's bro swole. And this last one here, I believe, from the kind of snowflakey symbol, is indicating that there's a cold front coming in and that Snow Job is probably going to be looking at least 8 inches by bedtime tonight. Then on the side, there's that QR code I was referring to and the data card again. And then on the other side, we've got the larger representation of that artwork from the front and number 67 in the line again. Okay, let's get this bad boy open then. I've already popped the tape at the bottom. And as predicted, we've got the accessories kind of storage cabinet case thing and Snow Job in the wooden frame. Just quickly cut the string off camera there. But let's get into this bit first. So lots of extra goodies in this one. In fact, we've got 1, 2, and paperwork. 2 bags full of goodies. Let's go for this bigger one first. There you go. So let's tip all this stuff out here. Everything out, yeah. So we've got his big, massive backpack. Oh, it looks like his rifle's in a cardboard case. That's good after some of the warped wibbly-wobbly barrels that we've been dealing with of late. There's the magazine for his rifle. The head swap, that's nice. Got his snow shoes. His little what are these things called? Ski rods? I'm not a skier. I'm not a winter sportsman. Someone let me know in the comments down below. Got his goggles, got his pistol, and then we've got his folded down hood. And into the other bag. What have we got here? That's the skis. And is that in that one? Yeah, just the skis in that one. And then, of course, finally, we have Snow Job himself. And here we are. Here's the figure with his abundance of extra goodies. Already looking really great out the box. But of course, as usual, I'm going to go away and have some man-child playtime, do some posing, take some photos, just get good and hands-on. So I'll be back in a couple of days to share some review thoughts on the figure. So stick around. We're going to take a nice, thorough, closer look at Snowjob in 3, 2, 1... And here we go. Here's Snowjob from the G.I. Joe Classified series. It's been a couple of days since I recorded the unboxing section of the video that you've just watched. It's now time to move into the review section of the video. So stick around. If you're new around these parts, you need to know I do thorough reviews of my figures, and I follow a very simple structure I call the 3 A's. The first A is going to be aesthetics, so we're going to do a little section on how Snowjob looks. Let's talk textures, let's talk sculpts, let's talk paint applications. What's the visual experience of the figure? Then into the second A, which will be articulation. How does he move? How does he pose? What's the play experience like with Snowjob? And then finally, into the third A, we're going to talk accessories and added value, where I'll walk you through all the lovely goodies that Hasbro have chucked in with Snowjob to enhance our play experience. And with all that said and done, it's my hope that I will have shared enough thoughts, enough thorough, detailed thoughts, that if you're thinking about picking up a Snowjob of your own, I'll help you make your mind up whether this is the figure for you. So let's not hang around, let's crack on with it, and let's move into the aesthetic section. Okay then, so I've moved Snowjob a little bit nearer to the camera so that we can take a closer look at the visual elements, the visual details of the figure. And I mean, straight away, immediately, there's an awful lot to like about him straight out of the box. This is how he was configured, put together, you know, as I removed him from that cardboard frame in the box. We will have to circle back round to some visual elements of the figure when we talk about the accessories and added value, because there's things like the head swap and the folded down hood and such like. But for now, this is how he looks straight out of packet. And I mean, what's there to say? He looks like your visual, nostalgic, loving memory of the character Snowjob. Whether you're a comic book reader, whether you're a cartoon fan, or whether you're an OG 3.75 figure collector, this guy is just speaking to the nostalgic heart of the G.I. Joe Classified collector, but with some nice, modernized, contemporized touches, which is what G.I. Joe Classified series is all about for me. The sculpting detail is lovely, up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified series standard. Look at the sculpting detail here in the fur around the edges of the hood. Obviously the face sculpt itself, look at this. The definition and detail on the cheeks, the nose, around the eyes, the forehead, really looks lovely, really looks packed into his head sock balaclava-y thing. The beard details as well are lovely. There's a little bit of a wash over the hood too, over the fur on the hood, to give it a little bit of wear and tear. He's been out facing the elements, exploring these snowy landscapes. And as you move down the body, you can see lots of sculpting details in the straps, in the bodywork. There's texture there, gives it some nice depth, really gives the character some personality. I'm very, very into that indeed. The paint applications are all lovely, neat and tidy. Look at the buckle on the front here, for example, and that little grey zipper just under the strap there. So lots going on in terms of the sculpt detail and quality. And that's evident all the way down the figure. Again, you can see another buckle paint application there, the paint application on the belt, and these extra pouches. Got these little, kind of grey off-white sections. It's a bit hard to see. I might have to turn the brightness of my lamp down. One sec. Yeah, there you go. That's better. If I turn the brightness of the lights down, you can see the contrast of that grey shaded kind of off-white colour against the more stark white. You can really see the detail on the browns and all these kind of paint application sections that exist across the figure, just to give it a nice framing, a little break to the colour scheme, but also just, you know, to give it some reality, that little edge of reality that is just enough to really enjoy the figure. The legs as well, the trousers, look at all the folds and creases in there, very natural kind of trousery drape down the leg. And then we've got these big snow boots here too, which are nice and chunky, got sculpted detail in those as well. So just really giving it that texture, that depth, that personality, really selling the narrative of what Snowjob is all about. Because look, he's looking well packaged in there. Really packaged in, got all his kind of windbreaker storm flaps plackets. Are they called plackets? Storm flaps? I don't know. I'm not a guy who goes outdoors very often, as you could probably tell from this channel. But yeah, he's all set and ready to go to face the elements, and that looks really great. Just wonderful storytelling with the figure that's just brought to life by all these nice little sculpted details. Love the attention to detail that the G.I. Joe Classified design team show with their figures. So I know I mentioned about the grey off-whitey sections, but there's obviously a lot of brown in there as well for the straps and the pouches and the holster and such like. I know that some folks were a bit like, no, I'm not so sure about the brown. I quite like it, if I'm being honest. It adds a nice bit of framing to that big, stark white, central colour scheme that's going on with the figure, which is then further framed up by the black gloves and the black boots there. So it works for me. I understand where folks are coming from. It is a little bit of unreality. If you were a sniper casting your eye across the Arctic tundra looking for an enemy soldier to shoot, you'd possibly clock these flashes of brown. Or maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you think it was just a seal or something. But in any case, I like it. It's working. It adds a bit of frame and also breaks up the really stark, bright white thing that we got going on with the character, which is fine, of course. He's an Arctic weather, a winter weather specialist. He's going to be wearing white gear, but it could be a bit much on the eye, especially when you got your lamps turned up. Like, look at that. If I turn my lamps up to full whack, it's blinding. One aesthetic element that has disappointed me a little bit is here in the shoulders. I don't know if you can see, maybe if I turn it round a little bit more. The bicep and tricep on the arm is slightly larger than this shoulder joint here that fits with the hinge. Can you see that there? So it's creating a strange little gap in between the shoulder and the arm. And this isn't bad QC gap, like you would get if it was loose, if you were experiencing a loose joint. This is actually because the shoulder is not as wide and broad as the bicep and tricep, which has created this sort of overlapping look. And it's definitely one of those classic, once I've noticed it, I can't stop noticing it kind of situations. Because it's not about a dodgy loose joint. It's actually that this section here is bigger in size than the bit it clips onto. So yeah, that's bugged me a little bit. But do you know what? If that's the only criticism I've got aesthetically about the figure, then we are absolutely onto a winner, aren't we? Because everything else I'm very happy about. The paint applications are neat and tidy. There's no slapdash stuff going on. The design and choices are great. The sculpt is great. The fabric textures are wonderful. There's a lot of awesome stuff going on with Snowjob. So, is it forgivable? Yeah, they should have got that right, really. But it's a minor irritation when you soak in all the quality stuff that's going on. Which means that Snowjob is a firm 2 thumbs up when it comes to the aesthetic, to the first A in my review standards, because I think he looks great. He looks absolutely fantastic. All the things I look for from a G.I. Joe Classified series figure are present. He's just really smashing it out the park. So I can't say anything else. I'll just sit here rambling on with glowing praise for it, because I've been enjoying the visual experience of Snowjob a great deal, especially when I got my Arctic bat out and started playing around with that. Amazing. So yeah, there we go. 2 thumbs up on aesthetic. Let's now have a little bit of a chat about the articulation, shall we? So, just like with the aesthetic, we'll have to circle back round and revisit a few of the articulation elements of the figure when we get to playing around with the accessories and the extras that are included with the figure. Particularly here, when we come to the first section that I like to look at, which is above the shoulder, because we've got the standard ball at the top, ball at the bottom with all the net movement, and you can see a certain degree of it when he's fully hooded up there. But obviously the range of motion that's available in there is further expanded when you do things like remove the hood and put the folded down hood on and stuff. But it's all there, lots of good motion, and as you can see, to be fair, even with the hood on, there's a lot you can do with your Snowjob. So very pleased with that. And also if you sort of if you're quite good at manipulating, you can actually manipulate the head inside the hood, so that the hood and the head have kind of got separate points of motion too, which is really quite nice. The shoulders are a butterfly joint, giving you a little bit of shuffle. I must admit, it feels like it's quite a small butterfly joint compared to others. I did grab a few other G.I. Joe classified figures to compare, and no, it's actually pretty standard. For some reason, though, it feels like it's a smaller joint, but there's some circular motion, some shuffle back and forth, which is really quite nice. Then the hinge at the top of the shoulder, standard G.I. Joe classified. You can do your full T there, look. Swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Double elbow, which will get you up to there. And then the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series hand with the peg going into the hole, giving you lots of swivel. And then both his hands have got the up and down hinge like that. No in and out, just up and down on both the right and the left hand. Main torso, we've got this cut across the centre of the chest there, just under his pecs, which give you some swivel and some crunch. That's quite nice, that is. I like it, rather than that kind of weird sort of inverted U cut. It's a bit neater, a bit more tidy, and obviously is obscured by this strap across the front. And then we've got the waist swivel in there as well, giving more further motion, which is disguised by this overhanging piece of big bulky coat. Which actually, I didn't mention this when I did the aesthetic section of the video, because normally these overlaying bits that are designed to make it look like a coat or a shirt or something is hanging down over the top of the trouser line bothers me, but this one doesn't bother me so much. It sits quite nice and tight and flush with this sort of soft rubbery design, so it doesn't stick out and appear like this weird extra bulk. And even if it did appear like weird extra bulk, that would be acceptable because it's his big old, thermal snow jacket. So that's fine. In the groin area, we've got the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series drop-down joint. You can just see it there underneath. The range of motion's a little bit limited in here, actually. So if I do my forward kick, my snow job, look at that. He doesn't get much forward kick motion at all, which is quite rare for G.I. Joe Classified. Some of it is down to this coat section, restricting the movement, but there's actually something going on in the joint there. I don't know if that's unique to mine. So as people get more and more of these in hand, give me a shout. Let me know if that's a similar experience, but you can definitely get your Russian ballet dancer done. Look. Then moving down into the legs, got the swivel at the top of the thigh. The classic G.I. Joe Classified pinless double knee, which can get you up to there. Then we've got swivel in the boot, top of the boot there, although it's obviously a bit more ankle-based than the taller boots in the past, but it's there. Ankle swivel, and then a big hinge and rocker on those feet, giving you an enormous range of motion and rocking there, which is, of course, again, we'll revisit when we talk about the accessories, but is to allow his articulation to make the best use of the skis and the snowshoes that he's got. But yeah, massive. Look at that. Proper Eddie the Eagle job. So what else is there to say? It's obviously a thumbs up. The G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation is of a high standard. I love it. I've said it every review I've done of a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure. I think the articulation range gives lots of playability, loads of fun. My man-child playtime with Snow Job has been great over the last couple of days. Took some really interesting photos. Very happy with what I am getting. It's the usual high standard. The funny groin joint thing where his leg won't go fully forward did affect a little bit of my fun time because he's very leg-centric. He's a very leg-centric character with the skis. And so some of the stuff you're trying to do with him, it needs that groin. So I'll be definitely applying a bit of heat, experimenting a bit more. I've kind of avoided doing it because I didn't want to apply too much heat into this area where it's the more rubbery plastic of this coat drape section. But if anyone who's more experienced than me can jump into the comments and let me know whether it'll be all right, whether I'd be safe to do so with my hairdryer, I'd appreciate the advice and guidance. But yeah, the articulation is great. I've posed him up in loads of interesting poses and I've got no complaints. So there you go. It's another thumbs up in the A. So let's take it into the third A now. This is going to be a big section because we've got accessories and added value to talk about, and there is a lot. And I'm going to get started with the head swap and the coat, the folded down hood section of the coat there. So we've got a head section with the full hairpiece on display, and then obviously the hood folded down. That's all very straightforward engineering business. Just pull that off, pop that over there. It's got a nice little groove in the top of the coat to hold it in place, and then pop that on. And there you go, you've got a whole new look and feel snow job. So there's a whole extra aesthetic element at play here. Obviously, the hairpiece is brilliant. The sculpting on that is amazing. There's a lovely wash through there that I hope you can see under the lighting of the camera. That gives it just this really lovely, flowing, detailed look. It's fantastically late 70s, early 80s with the beard and the hair. Me and Snowjob obviously have shared taste when it comes to facial hair and the old top of the head hair look and design. The hooded section fits into that lovely carved out groove nicely. It doesn't get in the way. Obviously then all your usual range of motion with your head articulation is available to you as well. So that's a nice touch. I've actually found myself posing him up more with the hood down than the hood up, but that's horses for courses. It's nice to have the options, and I think that this is definitely one of those kind of sets of accessories that you'll find yourself playing around with, chopping and changing between. And to add a further layer to all that, you can go for the hood down and the head sock semi-balaclava thing too. Mix it up. You have options, which I think is quite nice. The only thing I have observed is that the full head of head sculpt doesn't fit inside the hooded version. Or I think you probably could with a lot of fidget and fiddling, but I've not been inclined to do so. Then, still up above the shoulders in the head area, we've got the goggles here as well. These are a lovely piece of accessory. I love the metallic paint job on the kind of glass section of the ski goggles, the brown strap with the texture in it. And again, you can use that with either of the two head sculpts. You can pull it down over the head to cover the eyes. I've also had it sitting across his forehead. I have tried pulling it all the way down to have it hanging around the neck, but that's not such a great look. It's actually a struggle to get it over the edge of his beard. The other head sculpt can also wear them. They do also fit on the other head sculpt there. They're a little bit looser without the big bouffant, and they're definitely a bit of a fidget and a fiddle if you want to keep the goggles on him while this head is inside the hood, because as you try and put the head in the hood, you have to just sort of fidget and fiddle to get them in place where you want them. But yeah, it's they're multi-purpose, they're usable across both the head sculpts is what I'm basically trying to say. We'll get into the weapon selection next, and first up we've got his handgun here. It looks like a pretty straightforward 9mm pistol type thing, single piece of black molded plastic. Got some nice details there in the grip and in the mechanism of the weapon itself. It's a bit of funny shape and size. Again, I'll call out to the firearms fans to share some knowledge with me in the comments if that's a real piece of weaponry. What am I actually looking at here? Would love your insights. But yeah, it's a nice weapon. It's unique, looks different to many of the other handguns we've already seen in the line, and that of course can go in the holster on his thigh there. Yeah, just slides in like so, nice and easy. Although what I will say, word of warning to the wise, the holster on the thigh is quite loose. Now, I think there's a reason for that. I think they've done it so that it can come on and off with ease if you're looking to take the holster off for some of your more dynamic action shots with the skis and stuff. But I have found it slips of its own accord after a little bit of time. Just random little bit of feedback there while I'm on the holster section. Then we've got his big old sniper rifle, and as you can see, despite my initial comments when I unboxed it a couple of days ago about the cardboard, hopefully keeping the shape of the rifle in place, it has not done so, because I've got that, what is becoming an all too common case of barrel droop. Snowjob's barrel's drooping, man. It's not going to do you any good in the snow there, Snowjob, when you're droopy. You know what I'm saying? So that's a shame, but the sculpt overall, despite that, is a good sculpt. It's got the two color tones in there, lovely molded details to give the weapon some realism and life, which is nice. It clearly looks like the type of kit that you would see a kind of Arctic warfare specialist carrying. The magazine is removable, just comes in and out of that chamber there too, which is nice. Although my magazine's a bit loose. I've tried putting it in all different ways, and it seems to the chamber's a bit loose as well, but that's a minor gripe, because once you've got it clicked in, it's not going anywhere, look. But yeah, barrel droop, folks. Snowjob's barrel droops. And then we've got this whole huge selection of stuff going on, which I've started the other way around than usual by giving you it all there on the backpack. So we've got this massive backpack in the center here, and it's just got loads of straps and grooves and pegs to hold all the extra bits and bobs on, looking at that. So we'll get started down here with the snowshoes. As you can see, I've pegged these in on these little pegs at the bottom, but if I take those off, I mean, they just look like big snowshoe aids, don't they? I mean, there's not a great deal else to say about them. We've got a little compartment at the front there for the toes of the foot, and then a peg for the heel, for the peg hole in the heel. We've got lovely sculpted details in there just to bring it to life. They're not, it's not smooth. It's got bolts and divots and contours. I mean, even look at the bottom there, the section that you're not even going to see all that often. So yeah, lovely. They're all great. Very easy and straightforward to put on. Just get the toes in the body of the Doobry What's-It. Pop the peg in to the peg hole like so. And there you go. Snowjob's wearing his snow boots. And then in this whole backpack of wonders, you can see we've got the skis strapped onto the sides of the backpack there. We've got these rubber straps coming around the sides, keeping them in place. Then just underneath the ski poles here, which are clipped in, you can see we've got these peg holes in there that you can plug in to keep the skis in place. Now, regular viewers on the channel will know that I'm not a big fan of these kind of rubbery plug hole things, but these actually work all right. They've addressed some of the issues that you come across when they're on kind of on figure belts and such like, because the chamber in the backpack is really deep. The pegs are a little bit firmer, so the actual pressing in motion to press the pegs in and hold the skis on the side is not too bad. So no big old ranting and moaning about the pegs this time, folks. But while I'm here, I'll return to the skis and the ski poles in a minute. But there's the backpack in all its glory. Lovely sculpted detail on the backpack there. Could do with a paint application or two. I've said I say this all the time about the backpacks with all these kind of straps and buckles and stuff. It could have done with something a little extra. There's some individual on the G.I. Joe Classified design team whose whole job it is to put together the sculpt designs for these backpacks, and they do a tremendous job. And then I feel like they're just being let down a little bit by not adding a little splash of colour to the backpacks to give them some more depth and more texture. But yeah, wonderfully put together. And then one thing I'll mention about this channel at the top here. Snowjob's got a little space there to store his rifle. Oh, actually, while I am on the backpack, I'm going to stay on the backpack for a minute. I will come to the skis in a sec, but it pegs in on the back there. It's a bit loosey-goosey. The depth of the peg hole in his back and the length of the peg isn't great. And because it's such a big, chunky backpack, it's a bit weebly-wobbly. And then when you've got all the gear on it, it really messes with his centre of gravity. And when you've got the backpack on him, you don't stand up so good, so you need to fiddle around with your ab crunch a bit and your positioning to get him to stand up straight when the backpack is on his back. So his ski poles are, ski poles, immediately identifiable as such. You've got the metallic paint job on the spikes at the ends there, and then there's just a black moulded piece of plastic with the wrist loops at the top and the handles. They're fine enough. They came out the packet nice and straight. They're not warped. I haven't done anything with those to straighten them out. That's how they came. I mean, they look like what they're supposed to look like. I don't they're not particularly exciting, but they are part of that whole storytelling element. So, I can't come down on them, but nor can I get overexcited about them. They are what they are, And then we have the skis. Again, they look like skis. They look like what they're supposed to be. Two colours on them there. We've got this kind of browny green section where the feet clip in. Obviously, the pegs there to go into the peg holes of the heels. They're ski-shaped. They're ski-sized. They look like skis. Again, it's a weird one because I really like them, but they're hard to get excited about, but there's no criticism either. They just do what they're supposed to do. They're a practical tool, which I suppose, from Snowjob's perspective, that's exactly what the whole thing's about. But as far as storytelling and having some narrative, fun playtime with your figure, yeah, lots you can do with these. They're really great. Nice, easy fit. Peg into the heel there. And you've got a skied up Snowjob look. And with the skis there, you can really see how that extra little bit of ankle articulation can really add to the play experience and the posability of Snowjob with the skis in the mix. Although this is the sort of posing situation where I'm finding that groin tightness to be an issue, because I really wanted to get him down into like a proper, full-on skiers squat. Is that what they call it? Any skiing fans out there? I've really got to stop making videos about action figures that do activities I know nothing about. Like soldiers with guns, and I don't know a thing about guns, and now I'm talking about skiing, and I don't know a thing about skiing, but there you go. So there we are. The accessory selection is clearly a thumbs up. There's loads of stuff there to tell stories, to pose him up, to take exciting photos, to make interesting displays, to integrate him into snow-themed dioramas, or get him out into your garden during the wintertime and take some pictures. It's all adding to the experience, 100%. Okay then, folks, figure comparison time. Here is Snowjob with Lady J and Flint. I just recently watched the Sunbow episode where the three of these were together getting into it in an adventure out in the Arctic, and so I grabbed these out the box because they felt like a good fit. I just feel like in my head canon, Snowjob it resonates with me more as an animated series character, perhaps, than he does a comic book character. And while we're on the subject of pairing him up with kind of key animated series characters, here's Snowjob with Shipwreck, another recent addition to the G.I. Joe Classified series collection. And then, of course, we have the most obvious figure comparison to pair up with Snowjob, which is the Arctic Bat, the other Arctic-themed character that I have in my collection. There's also Arctic Storm Shadow, but I don't own that one as well. The Arctic Bat there, of course, not planning on using the chainsaw arm to assault Snowjob, but in fact to use it to cut down a tree that's just behind Snowjob over here. He's doing a public service. This is not as aggressive as it looks in any way, shape or form, because Arctic Bats don't use chainsaw hands for that, do they, Lenny? Emily? Okay then, folks, here's Snowjob going around on the turntable. He's kind of in the pose that I had him on the shelf last night. I'm kind of going for I'm trudging through the snow with all my gear on my back kind of look and feel to him. He's a bit dark. I've had to turn the lights down. The white outfit, the white uniform with the mirrored base on the turntable was making things far too bright and freaking my camera out. So hopefully you can still see well enough. I have to confess, I've been posting him up without the backpack quite a bit as well. You can see here that the position of the backpack makes it difficult for some of the stuff you might want to do while he's holding his sniper rifle. It's a bit heavy, a bit unwieldy. Oh, his holster's a bit out of line there. That's going to annoy me. Let's put that straight. There you go. And also, as you can see, it messes with his centre of gravity, so I've had to kind of put him in this sort of leaning forward position with bent knees to make sure that he's not toppling over with that additional weight. Anyway, I digress. Overall, obviously, this is a great figure. It's got something for any G.I. Joe Classified series fan. Whatever you're looking for. If you're a nostalgia collector, this guy's got nostalgia in spades. If you're a collector of your favourite characters from the cartoons and the comic books, well, this is a good representation of Snowjob as he appeared in the cartoons and comic books. If you want something that just looks a little bit updated and a bit more modern as well in the way that it's put together, this has got it for you. And if you like your figures with loads of accessories, with tons of storytelling opportunity, playtime opportunity, photography opportunity, this has got it for you. There is something for every G.I. Joe Classified series fan with this guy. I'm confident that you will enjoy your Snowjob if you decide to pick one up for yourself. So I'm absolutely recommending this figure. It's a great little addition. I'm glad now to have another Arctic-themed character in the mix, so my Arctic Bat doesn't feel quite so lonely, and the Snow Serpent is on the way too, so building that kind of wintry feel to the shelf there. I may even hold them back and bring them out in the winter season. Who knows? Let's see how it goes with the display. But I've enjoyed it a great deal. Had a lot of fun playing with Snowjob over the last couple of days. That sentence sounded strange. Playing with Snowjob the last couple of days. I've obviously got a gutter mind interfering with my ability to say the word Snowjob over and over again. There's not a great deal else to say. I suppose if there was one final kind of thought, I feel like there's an accessory missing, and that's like a little ice pick or something. Something along those lines, you know what I mean? But that's a minor criticism. Nonetheless, it's Snowjob. You know what I mean? He is, you know, ubiquitous when it comes to G.I. Joe classified as a brand. You've got to have a snow job in your collection, you know? So there we go. Recommended. So hopefully, if you've been in two minds, back and forth, on the fence a little bit, my thoughts today have helped you make your mind up when it comes to picking up a snow job or not. I'll, of course, remind all you lovely, lovely viewers that if you're not already subscribed to the channel, you would do so with my grateful thanks. It just takes you a second, but it means ever so much to me. It really helps me grow the channel, helps me reach more viewers, and it helps me in the journey to become monetized and get that lovely, lovely ad revenue, which of course will fund more figures to allow me to diversify the range of reviews that I can offer here on MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. And while I'm on that subject, if you'd like to say thanks with your wallet, you can send me a super thanks, you can sign up and join the channel. All that really icky YouTubey money-making stuff. So, yeah, just push all the buttons. The thumbs up, the subscribe, tip me with a super thanks, join and give me some money every month. You know, all that good stuff. Except for that button. Don't do that one. Don't do the down. Do the up. I find this bit at the end so hard to do. It's really odd. Anyone got any tips as to how I can do this bit? Right, well, he's coming around back around to the front, so I'll say thanks very much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and then there's so many other channels that you could be watching, so it's my absolute pleasure to have you here watching mine. Take it easy, and I'll see you around these parts again sometime soon, folks. All right, ta-ra now.